Florian, welcome. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
Talking Insights and to Congress. And it's a final day today, but also we have a great chat coming up today. So, how are you doing?
Fine. How are
Yeah,
you?
yeah, very well. Is this your first Congress?
It's my first SMR Congress. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
Oh, fantastic. And what are your thoughts so far?
I love the mixing of the sort of the ancient of the Beurs of Berlage
Mm.
with the whole arcade style. It matches perfectly. Rather astonishingly, with two different opposites, but it's awesome.
Absolutely, just like this room.
Yep.
So, Florian, can you tell us about yourself and Weebly?
Yep. So a bit of myself because it ties into the Weebly,
Hmm.
of course. So I did a PhD in computer science at VUB, so that's a university in Brussels.
Hmm.
I met my co-founder there, who also did a PhD, and essentially we want to tackle sort of the going from an ID or an interface to working software. That's in large what we do. So it's in no code space. And we noticed sort of pull out of the insights industry to build forms and surveys in a highly customized fashion.
Hmm.
And so we decided to build a startup which tailors to that need. So basically, you want to build a custom form, and we enable you from within Figma to build something highly customized, send it out, and gather insights.
Excellent. So, when you're saying no code, that means it's anyone can do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think technology has sort of really leapt forward in the last year and last couple of years, to the point where we're not at the point where you can just draw out an interface in tools like Figma and generate fully working web applications without having to do HTML, CSS, set up a website, like all of those things that you needed to do maybe even 5 years ago. All of this can completely be automated now.
Excellent. So, whilst it's making it a lot more accessible for insights professionals to just really kind of get on it, really cutting the time, but is AI playing a part into it?
So AI plays parts in sort of on two sides. There's the user facing side, which is sort of what you would expect in the sense that
Hmm.
you have a prompt based interface, which allow you to specify what you want to build, what insights you want to gather, and then a good first draft is generated of the survey or of the form that you need. As is the case with all of the AI tools, it's a good first draft, but there's a human intervention needed to sort of fine tune it and make it into something which you can actually send out to users or respondents. But then also, of course, there's an AI part to it, to the code generation. So there's intelligent algorithms which will take that interface and turn it into a web application. So the generation of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, basically.
I see. So, with obviously AI has been so integrated into this, and also it's getting adopted widely by the industry. Do you think at some point it will be a point where um, AI will just there won't be a need to gather insights. It was just because we can get everything from whatever AI application it is.
So I mostly dabble in sort of, so I'm in between two communities, the insights on the one and the sort of UX design and UI design on the other. And there's been a lot of recent tools popping up where there's artificial survey respondents, for example, right? So you no longer need to actually ask somebody what their daily life looks like and try to figure out their issues and try to solve them, but you can ask an AI and it will sort of generate a persona for you. And these have been sort of welcomed with varying levels, degrees of excitement by especially the UX community, because it beats the purpose of UX in the sense that design is talking to somebody, a person, and figuring out what their needs are. And then the question is, can an AI really replace that? Can we replace humans with something which is just an accumulation of everything that's ever been written on the internet, more or less? I think a hybrid approach is what will continue going forwards in the sense that you can do the low-hanging fruit. You can probably automate that and gather insights from an AI, because in the end, yeah, it gathers its insights from humans at the end of the day. So you'll be able to do the low-hanging fruit easily with AI-generated content, but then to really be precise and to find out the real problems, you still need to talk to a human.
So, are there any dangers when it comes to using AI to kind of guess what people are thinking?
Yeah, the question is, to what extent are your insights going to be genuine? So it's really hard to gather insights from people in general. Like, people don't know what they want, so like asking the right questions is a difficult thing. I highly doubt that AI is able to distill that from content on the internet, which means that if you ask an AI, the questions you will get and the insights you will gather will they be genuine or not? And it will also all tend to get the same results no matter what people ask. It's the same algorithm, it's the same data. So you'll have a conversion point where everybody's going to start doing the same thing because that's what the algorithm said. So I think that's definitely a danger.
Okay. So with that, Weebly is very, very new. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's starting, when was it?
So essentially, we launched a first version in 2022, which was extremely generic. So whatever you could draw in Figma, whether it's like a mobile app, websites, you name it. So anything that any interface that you can draw, the platform or the algorithm would turn it into a full stack web application. And the goal was to figure out what's the thing that people want to build the most, because you can't do everything. You need to pick something and do it right. And so it turns out that most people want to build surveys and forms from their Figma designs. And so now, a month ago, or like a bit more than a month ago, we reshaped that product and focused it on forms specifically. Now that we have that insight of, okay, actually what people want to build the most in a customized fashion is surveys and forms.
And obviously, you're not the only player in the field.
Nope.
So what makes you stand out?
Yeah, so it's insane how much it's a crowded market, right? There's a lot of survey and builders and form builders out there. So you would expect like, oh, like in what world is there still room for another player? But I think the niche that's still out there is extremely customized forms in a UI and a flow perspective. So regardless of what tool you're using today, it's pre-made blocks. Some of them are basic but cheap and fast, like a Google Forms. Some of them work really well and are pretty out of the box, like a Typeform. But if you want something highly customizable, you're stuck with those limited blocks that you get from your form builder. We take a radical different approach in the sense that in Figma, you can draw anything you want. It's like freehand. And then we turn that into a survey. So it takes you a bit more time because it requires you to design it completely as you want. But then you get something which is exactly to your tailoring. So pixel perfect, on brand, the way you want it.
Well, fantastic. And just as a final question, and kind of more looking into the future, what's next? What's next for you?
So I think that the survey and the form niche is actually I say niche, but it's a huge market. There's a big need for that. And at the end of the day, when you look at software in general, like 80% of software is forms and input fields. So I think there's a lot to do there to automate going from an ID or a design to something which you can integrate into a product. But the goal is eventually to broaden that again to the more general approach that we had in the very beginning, and to enable anybody to just draw an interface and get the working software out of that without having to write a single line of code. So basically automating as much as we can the development of software.
Amazing. That's
Thanks.
I'm really excited to see what's next. And yeah, I'll maybe see you at the next Congress.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.